Hello friends. Welcome to GrowFin's online learning module. In this session, we will understand the different methods of appraisal. This topic is part of CS Foundation course, Paper-2, Business Management, Ethics, and Entrepreneurship within the chapter of Human Resource Management. For detailed learning, you can enroll on our website www.growfin.co.in. There are various methods of merit rating which may be classified into traditional methods. Traditional methods are very old techniques of performance appraisal. Modern methods, these are newly evolved techniques of performance appraisal. Let us understand these in the next slides. Traditional methods. Traditional methods are very old techniques of performance appraisal. They are discussed below. 1. Unstructured appraisal. Under this, the appraiser is required to write down his impression about the person being appraised in an unstructured way. However, in some organizations, comments are required to be grouped under specific headings, such as quality of job performance, reasons for specific job behavior, personality traits, and development needs. This system is highly subjective and has got its merit in its simplicity and is still in use, especially in the small firms. 2. Ranking method. This is the simplest of all methods. The appraisal consists of ranking employees as more or less efficient by interpersonal comparison of overall qualities. This method may be conveniently adopted if the number of employees is small and work performance is measurable. The ranking thus made involves subjective appraisal of employees without any common standards. A variant of the ranking method is the paired comparison method, in which employees are compared and ranked in pairs. Each employee is compared with the other employees in a group, one at a time. The results of these paired comparisons are tabulated and a rank is assigned to each employee. 3. Forced distribution method. The basic assumption made for using this method is that employees are distinguishable as outstanding, above average, average, below average or poor, and their number conforms to a normal frequency distribution, example, 10% each in the highest and lowest categories, 20% each in the above average and below average categories, and 40% in the average category. The rater is required to distribute the employees in the 5 categories on the basis of their overall performance and attributes. 4. Graphic rating scales. This method is similar to the rating scale method, except that the degrees of qualities or attributes on which employees are to be appraised are indicated on a graph or chart. The scale of attributes may be numerical, alphabetical, or descriptive adjective. Thus different degrees of an attribute may be stated as exceptional, above average, below average, or poor and assigned numbers as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5. Checklist. Employee appraisal under this method involves listing of a number of statements about the performance and behavior of the employee, and the rater checks these statements indicating whether a statement applies or does not apply to the employee or there is a doubt. Afterwards, values, or weights, are assigned to the statements depending upon their respective importance. The final rating of the employee is taken as the average of the scale value of all statements that the rater has checked. 6. Critical incident method. This method involves employee appraisal on the basis of events or incidents and the employee's reactions to them reflecting positive or negative aspects of his behavior. A continuous record of incidents is maintained by the supervisors and numerical scores are assigned according to the nature of employees' reaction to the particular events. 7. Field review method. Under this method, the supervisors are interviewed by an expert from the personnel department. The expert questions the supervisors to obtain all the pertinent information on each employee and takes notes in his notebook. Thus, there is no rating form with factors or degrees, but overall ratings are obtained. The workers are usually classified into 3 categories: outstanding, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory. The success of field review method depends upon the competence of the interviewer. If he knows his job, he can contribute significantly to accurate appraisals. Field review method relieves the supervisors of the tedious writing work of filling in appraisal forms. It also ensures a greater likelihood that the supervisors will give adequate attention to the appraisals because the personnel department largely controls the process. Superficial judgment can be eliminated if the appraiser probes deeply. Modern methods. There are two important methods of performance appraisal which are used by the modern organizations. The first is management by objectives, which represents result-oriented appraisal. It was Peter Drucker who proposed goal-setting approach to performance appraisal, which he called management by objectives and self-control. This approach was further strengthened by Douglas McGregor. McGregor was concerned with the fact that most traditional appraisal systems involved ratings of traits and personal qualities that he felt were highly unreliable. Besides, the use of such trait ratings produced two main difficulties. The manager was uncomfortable about using them and resisted making appraisals, and it had a damaging effect on the motivation and development of the subordinate. Goal-setting approach or management by objectives or MBO is the same as behavioral approach to subordinate appraisal, actually called work planning and review in case of General Electric Company, USA. Under this approach, an employee is not appraised by his recognizable traits, but by his performance with respect to the agreed goals or objectives. Thus, the essential feature of this approach is mutual establishment of job goals. The second modern method is behavior-anchored rating scale, which is based behavior rating, the behavior of the subordinates. Behavior-anchored rating scales, that is bars, are designed to identify the critical areas of performance for a job, and to describe the more effective and less effective job behavior for getting results. Performance is evaluated by asking the rater to record specific observable job behavior of an employee and then to compare the observations with a behavior-anchored rating scale. As a result, the supervisor will be in a position to compare the employee's actual behavior with the behavior that has been previously determined to be more or less effective. Proponents of bars claim many advantages of this approach. They argue that such a system differentiates among behavior, performance, and results, and consequently is able to provide a basis for setting developmental goals for the employee. Because it is job-specific and identifies observable and measurable behavior, it is a more reliable and valid method for performance appraisal. Empirical studies of behavior-anchored rating scales, that is bars, have provided a fertile ground for study by both theorists and practitioners. The bars experience has helped to clarify three major controversies of the appraisal process. One was the previously discussed issue of rating content trait versus job-related. The second controversy involved the multidimensional nature of performance. The administrative uses of appraisal had encouraged rating systems to produce an overall measure of performance, which tended to mark differences in performance in the key result areas critical to job results. The third controversy involved the issue of the most effective way to anchor the rating scales, which is numerical or behavioral. By anchoring the scales behavior-ally, the bars approach was expected to produce more valid and reliable results by reducing measurement errors. This brings us to the end of the session. Thank you for your time. We are sure that the inputs in this session have made your concepts of appraisal methods clearer. For detailed learning, you can enroll on our website www.growfin.co.in. Please like and share our videos. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for receiving updates on our new videos. Happy learning!